Okay, so today we're going to go over the future value of compound interest. This is our compound interest formula. Yesterday we talked about simple interest, it was basic. I also showed you a quick video on compound interest, and that was a basic formula. This is the type of formula that a bank or a loan company will use when getting interest from you or when paying you interest. So all of these definitions, these letters, you still have to know. A couple of the letters have changed. Our uppercase A is still the total amount. That hasn't changed since yesterday. P is still the principal amount, so the amount of money you put into something or the amount of money you borrow in a loan. We've replaced R with I. Okay? Now, I is still technically your interest rate, but it's your interest rate divided by your compound period. Okay? R is interest rate, C is compound period. And we're going to talk about why this happens in a second. And then this used to be time. They've now replaced it with the variable n. N is the number of years times your compound period. Okay? So that seems a bit confusing. We're going to put together a question again. We'll use the same type of example we had yesterday. Let's say we put $1,000 into the bank. That's going to be our principal. Most banks give you pretty low interest rates. Let's say you're with like ING and they're very nice to you. And they give you maybe 2%, which is extremely high. 2%. Now what you have to look at is how something's compounded. Okay, we didn't really talk about that yesterday. We just talked about certain periods. We're going to get 2% annually. Most interest rates are given annually. Okay? But the compound periods change, which we didn't talk about yesterday. When a compound period changes, we accumulate more or less money. So 2% annually, and we're going to say compounded. Oops. Compounded, let's say monthly, since that's very easy. Compounded monthly. Okay? We have our interest rate, we have our compound period, and we're going to say that I'm not going to touch this money for 4 years, something like that. I'm a very dedicated investor. 4 years is how long I'm going to leave my money in. So we're going to equate these to what we have. We know our $1,000 is our principal. Okay? Our years are 4. So that's going to be our YR, or our years in this question. Our interest rate is 2% annually. Okay? So that's what our R is. Our interest rate is our 2% annually. But the compound period, what color haven't I used yet here? Purple, okay. Our compound period is monthly, and that's very important because the compound period changes a lot of our formula. So we're going to go put this formula together again. We know that our total amount is equal to the original principal, 1 plus our calculated interest rate by the number of compound periods. Now remember, I, our interest rate, is the actual interest rate, which is 0.02, 2%, divided by, because I was equal to R divided by C. Monthly is what? How many times does a month occur in a year? 12, okay? So because our interest rate is annually every year, it's compounded monthly, that means there are 12 versions of compounding over the course of that year. So we actually have to find our calculated interest rate to be divided by 12. And we're going to talk about how that actually helps us out in the end. And our N is the number of years multiplied by the compound period. Okay? How many years were we investing for? 4 years? But how many compound periods happen over the course of 4 years? Or what is the compound period? Sorry. It's 12, which means how many happen over the course of 4 years, Khalil? 48. We compound this interest rate 48 times in 4 years. Okay? So this becomes important in the amount of money we're going to create. Okay? Leave my lunch. So our principal is $1,000. 1 plus 0.02 divided by 12 to the power of 4 times 12. Our $1,000, 1 plus 0.02 divided by 12. Let's figure that out. 0.02 divided by 12. Okay, 0.0016 roughly. Was it 2 zeros? Yeah, 1 6. 1 and then roughly 6 repeated to the power of 48. That's 4 times 12. Okay? So if we take a look at our new interest rate, it looks much lower than 2%, right? It's like 0.1% if anything. It looks very low. But because we're compounding it 48 times, okay, so every single month, we're actually going to make more money than just 2% annually. If we were to only get 2% annually, we would only get 2% of 1,000 is 20. And then if we got $20 over 4 years, I think we calculated that yesterday. We'll compare it at the end here. So we have our 1,000 is equal to 1 plus that is 1.0016 repeated to the power of 48. So we're going to use our calculator. It's important we try to be as accurate as possible. So I'm going to use this number, add 1 to it, and then I'm going to put it to the power of 48. Okay? 1.083. 1,000 times 1.083. Now, I want to draw your attention to this 8. 83 is roughly what percentage here? Not quite 83. 8.3%. Okay? 8.3%. Think of it like that. The reason we're getting this extra 0.3% is because of the amount of times we compound something. Because if I took 2% over 4 years, what is that roughly equal to? 8%. But we're getting more because we're compounding it more often. So the faster something compounds, the more money we're going to make in the end. So if you can get someone to make invest money, or you can put money into a bank and they'll compound it per second, that's amazing. Even at a low percentage rate, you're going to make a lot of money. Okay? It doesn't happen, but just giving you an extreme version of something. Okay? Monthly is what's most common in the bank, right? If you guys get your bank statements, it's usually monthly. You get your interest compounded monthly. So let's find out our final answer here. We take this decimal, and it's actually higher than 8.3% because all these extra numbers at the end. Multiplied by 1,000. $1,083 and an extra 21 cents. Lucky us. $83.21. We got the extra 21 cents. That 1 cent's going to be obsolete in February in Canada. Right? No more pennies. So we've made an extra $3.21. Doesn't seem like a lot with this small amount, but if I'm a very large investor, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, those extra percentages add up quite a bit. We'll make several thousand more dollars or several hundred thousand more dollars. Okay? So that is future value of compound interest. That's where you find the future